Hey Saints. So, wow. Well, first of all, I did a poll, which I've seen people on YouTube, like on the community post, they've done polls and stuff. I never actually did, so I was like, well, let me try this poll thing. And I asked y'all what y'all's favorite video topics were, on the channel. And I was actually surprised to see that y'all like the personal vlogs of me talking about my issues and stuff. I thought that y'all thought I was crazy, to be honest. So that's actually very refreshing though, because that's actually something I enjoy doing. It's something I always like doing. And that's kind of how my channel got started. If you go way back to like 2013, it was just me kind of like talking about hot dog rejection and things like that. So it makes me feel more comfortable talking a little. Well, I feel relieved. I wouldn't say I'm more comfortable just throwing it all out there, because I have some enemies watching me, and it's just a lot of people that know me personally, like in real life. I'm just not comfortable knowing certain things about me, and they watch my channel. Not y'all. Not strangers I've never met. I mean actual people. Like, I had one of my classmates from middle school. She commented on my video recently. I think it was the one when I was actually talking about mental health, and I think I was like complaining about deliverance ministries, and I saw her name. I was like, what the heck is she doing here? Like, how did she find me? And I commented and I asked her. She didn't reply though. So I was like, maybe it's not the Lord's will for me to talk to her. But yeah, she commented on my video, and I was kind of wondering, like, does she know who I am? Because I look totally different. I am totally different, as far as my faith and how invested I am and stuff. So I just thought that was so crazy how I don't know if she was looking for a video and she saw me. I'm like, if she sees the name Brandi on the channel, she should put two and two together that it was me. I don't know. But no, like, I've had a couple people, even when I had a Facebook page years ago, I had some people from West Orange High School. I didn't even talk to these girls. I just saw them around school. They were in their own little clique, and, they would message me like, your videos really helped me and blessed me and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, you're watching my channel. That makes me so uncomfortable, so yeah. I guess in my mind, when I make certain videos, I just kind of feel like I have an audience that's like, just strangers, just y'all. Like, I don't know. I noticed that my audience is like a lot of young sisters and stuff, or, some brothers. Not everybody, but yeah, that was actually news to me when I started becoming aware that people that I know physically in real life are watching my videos. It's kind of crazy because, like, I do make them to minister. I want them to help people worldwide, but it's just like when you see somebody like in the grocery store or something, or a relative that's been watching, and, they know all this stuff about you and your family, and, those kind of vlogs I made when stuff was going on. It's just kind of like, I don't know. But no, I appreciate that. Thank you. I wasn't really asking as far as like what y'all wanted to see moving forward, because to be honest, I don't really want to be dedicated to this channel like that. I have a lot of mental health issues I'm dealing with, and I don't want to put on another like task. Like, I'm not doing all that. I just wanted to see what y'all liked. I may do more polls. I'm not sure. I just randomly thought of one last night. Like, I'll just do this one, and I saw that. Anyway, I feel so relieved and I feel so refreshed, y'all, because I have finally found out what diagnosis I have. I know that may sound like, why is that something that you're proud about? Because, like, you don't understand. When you are battling like mental health issues and stuff, like, I've literally, I have tried to explain and to describe like what I deal with mentally and like what I feel in my soul, like, to so many different Christians, and they don't get it. I actually have one sister who I don't really like too much. I'm not rocking with her right now, because she has this mindset that I don't know. She doesn't believe that spirits can use people to do certain things, or she has this mindset like, oh, it's still you, it's just you. I'm like, no, there is no such thing as just you. People have strongholds, they have different spirits that can operate and speak. I mean, it's just like, I just feel like it's a very immature, like, I don't think the Lord's really taught her about those things that, so she was never really able to understand me. And when you're somebody that's dealing with certain things and you're kind of in fellowship with somebody like that, it's going to rub you the wrong way. Because you know what you deal with, you know what you're battling, you already had the Lord teach you about this spirit and what's constructed and all the other strongholds that you deal with, and you have this sister that just doesn't believe any of it. That's not somebody that you need to be in fellowship with. If you are dealing with something like that, it's not. But, anyway, whew, oh my God, it's hard trying to explain it because it's literally like so many different layers of stuff that you feel. Like, it's beyond emotional, like it's beyond a mental type of thing. It's like, it's a deep soulish, like, just compartmentalized, like, it's just confusion inside. And it's like, you know, it's a good thing that I can articulate what I feel very well, but it would take a very long time. I think it would be better if somebody like interviewed me, or like if they asked me questions, you know, well, how does this make you feel, or like, you know, what are some ways that you would describe, you know, you dealing with this, or you responding this way to this. I could do it that way, but for me to just like sit on camera, like, it would be like 5 hours like just trying to tell you like, okay, well, I feel this way about this, and then I feel this way, and then 10 minutes later I feel this way, and I think it's because of, you know. So, now I share it with y'all. I'm actually more comfortable talking about this now that I know what my actual diagnosis is. I actually told y'all in the last video that I was diagnosed with bipolar. Now, I don't even know what bipolar is. The most that I knew about bipolar was mood swings. I think that's what everybody thinks about when they think of bipolar. Like, oh, it's somebody that has like really extreme highs and lows, and they just alternate between these different emotions that like really intensely, and you know, stuff like that. That's all I knew about it. So when I was actually diagnosed, that I think I was like 13 or 14, and I actually was in a girls behavioral center. I was actually doing it just to cause trouble because she moved me from my friends in Beaumont to a whole bunch of people in Orange. I didn't know. I wasn't familiar with the environment. I didn't want to be there. So I was just acting up. I mean, I was definitely going through a phase, and I had some spirits operating in my life. But when I got to that behavioral center at that time, I was around some girls that really had some issues. And I was like, okay. Like, I remember girls, there's a 15-year-old girl named Sarah, and she did meth, and she had a kid, and she was cool, but it was, yeah, I was learning everybody. Like, we had our little rooms that we stayed in, like, I was in an actual, like, center, so it wasn't anything like a psychiatric center. It was just like, you know, I was 14, so, you know, but I got a chance to know different girls. There was one girl named Caitlin there who, I actually remember the day, we weren't supposed to have razors in that behavioral center. And because I got really cool with her and I trusted her, I know she had an issue with cutting. And I was cutting at that time too, because I was like into this rock culture, you know, type of lifestyle. But I knew that she did. And like, you know, the people at the facility knew that she did as well. But she was just like so normal. Like, I didn't think that she would actually do anything. So one day, I think at that time I had my family visiting me. My grandfather, he came to like bring me some stuff because his wife is like Thai, you know, she's Asian, so she cooks this really delicious like Thai food and stuff. I remember they brought it to me in a bowl one day, and some clothes, like some razors and stuff. And I don't think that I was cutting at that time, so I think it was okay for me to have razors. I think depending on like what issues each girl had in the facility, like we couldn't have certain things. Like yeah, I'm not gonna say that part, never mind. But anyway, she's in the restroom one day, and she asked me to borrow a razor. And I should have followed my first mind, because I was just like, I don't know. But like, I gave it to her. And she was in the restroom for quite a while. And, you know, sure enough, I think a nurse, I don't know what they're called at that time, a nurse or something, went into the restroom with Caitlin. And when I tell you, she found a way to break my razor, and she cut herself so deep. Like, I mean, the blood was gushing out on a white towel. And she had no emotion towards it. She was just like, the girl was just so normal, it was insane. Like, there was no, she wasn't like obviously disturbed. Like, it wasn't somebody you could look at like, oh, she got some issues. Like, it wasn't anything like that. I don't remember her background, because it was so many years ago. But I think it was like some family issues, and that's what it was. She was, I think she was in like a foster care. Yeah, I think she was like, I think her thing was like she had been in and out of like different foster care. So she had a lot of like stuff going on. And I think she just, I don't even know what that's like. I've never been in foster care. So like, I could probably relate to somebody, you know, when it comes to abandonment and rejection and stuff. But I'm sure that would really screw somebody up if you can't be with your family or you can't be with your parents. And there's the whole you like internalization of rejection and why your parents don't want you or why you can't be with your parents. Like that's a lot of whew. So she had a lot of stuff going on, and I remember like nobody ever found out that I was the one that actually gave her the razor. I didn't give it to her for that. I thought she was gonna shave in the restroom or something, but yeah, then they took her to go, I don't know, I forgot where she went, but I was like, wow, Caitlin, thanks a lot. Like, that's great. I mean, it was like, I used to cut, but I've never seen a girl, like, cut that deep. I mean, the blood was just, like, it was crazy. So that was her. Those are the two girls that I mainly got familiar with. There was another black girl there. That's actually the first, I was actually there in that facility, that behavioral center. I think it was on Fannin. And that was the first time the Holy Spirit used me to minister to somebody. I wasn't even saved yet. I thought that was so crazy. It was actually Sarah, the girl who did meth and stuff, that had the kid. And we were like sitting at one of the round tables in the lobby. I think they called it the day room. Yeah, because remember we had watched like Dream Girls of Beyonce and everything. So like we had our little individual rooms that we could sleep in, which is like these hard beds, like they just sucked. It's kind of like being in jail, but like not really. I was like, there's nothing to do in there. It's kind of, it makes my heart go out to people who actually are in psychiatric wards, because I'm like, I was 14 and I was there like temporarily. It was just something like I was going through something and my mom put me in there. But just being there and this whole routine of how everything had to be done every day, like how you couldn't even take a shower for like a certain amount of time, just stuff like that. And the beds were just, they weren't real mattresses. It was just weird. And like you really had to be dependent on like your family to like bring you certain stuff. And my family actually loved me and cared about me a lot at that time. So they would visit me and, yeah, I was talking to Sarah at the round table, and she was just really expressing to me, like, you know, what she was going through mentally, or like the kind of stuff that would go through her mind. And she would tell me how she wanted to kill herself, like even though she was 15 and she had a kid and the guy was like way older, you know. And I just started ministering to her, and it was just the strangest thing, because I was not saved. I didn't know, I mean, I was raised up in church. I didn't get saved until I was 15 though. And I literally felt him come upon me. I didn't know what that was at the time, but I actually felt the Holy Spirit, like, it felt like, kind of like how scripture describes it, like a dove, how it came to just kind of, you know, sit upon Jesus, you know, during his baptism. It was kind of something like that. And I just kind of felt Holy Spirit just kind of blanket upon me, and I felt kind of like, anointed, just lighted up, like, you know, like inspired. It was weird. And I just started ministering to her, and I remember I was telling her basic stuff, but it was like amplified. I can't really explain it. And I was just telling her how much God loved her and he didn't want her to do that, and he cared about her, and I was encouraging her towards a relationship and how she should just talk to him. And by this time I hadn't even done those things myself. It was like he just kind of used me to just kind of. And I remember her, she used to wear that ponytail every day, and she had freckles and blue eyes, and she was just sitting there, you know, just listening. She wasn't saying anything. And the Lord, you know, made it to where, I think we sat and talked for like, I can't say, maybe like an hour. Could have been more than that. And it was like he really, like, you know, allowed that to happen. You know, I guess the people, because they were always like kind of strict about who could talk to who, and depending on who was dealing with what, you know, so I just thought he like allowed us that grace or that space of time to just really talk so he could get to her the way he wanted to, because I think a lot of the girls that I was with in that behavioral center actually did have some personality disorders, because I didn't know what all that stuff was at the time. I didn't know any of that. But now that I'm learning about it now, it is people that can appear to be very normal, but you would never know that they're like mentally unwell, or like they're really like, you don't know what's going inside of somebody. Same thing with like sociopaths and psychopaths and stuff. Like these people can be like, you know, your freaking coworker. And you would never know that when they get home, they have like 5 dead bodies in their closet and they get off on like, I don't know, killing children. So it's just like people don't always look like something's wrong with them. I mean, some do, but not everybody. And Caitlin and Sarah, they were one of those girls. Like when they would tell me they had all these issues, I would just be like, I don't believe you. Because it just didn't look like it. Like probably how y'all would feel about me. Like I look to be really sane and well-spoken and things like that, but it's like, no, if you were to like if the Lord would uncover or allow y'all to see into my soul of just the kind of stuff that goes through my mind daily, it would be like, oh, okay. Like, you know, but yeah. And I remember that day, and when he was done talking through me, he just left. He just kind of like, it just kind of dissipated. And I remember like afterwards, I was like, what was that? I was like, that was really insane, you know, like, so it kind of makes me think when I reflect on that day, I guess the whole cliche that God, those who were called, so to speak, is kind of like, you know, he was always with them from the beginning. I guess he just has a certain date and time for us to actually get saved. And like maybe I was always anointed to be a prophetess, and that was even showing like in my life before I even got saved. Because even when I was in middle school, around that time, so yeah, this is before that, because I went to the behavioral center after I moved. So yeah, even before that, I would just randomly I would have pictures of Jesus like on my agenda book, and I would actually take actual, I thought they were nails at the time. They weren't nails, they were just screws, but I would like tape them on the agenda book to be like hardcore, but it would be Jesus. And it was a very subconscious thing. Like I never really asked myself like, why do you have the Lord like on your agenda book and you're a part of like this whole rock culture you know thing. Like my friends were definitely not Christians, they were not religious people, we were into darkness. So it's just interesting to see how like he always kind of was there, you know, like I guess kind of probably protected me, because there's a whole bunch of other stuff I could have gotten into that I didn't. So but yeah, anyway, around that time I was to be honest, y'all, I was so demon possessed at that time. It's just so much stuff I just don't remember, because I feel like my core self just wasn't present for it. Like people say I did things at that age, I don't recall it. Like I literally have no memory of doing or saying any of this stuff. So whenever I was speaking to like a psychiatrist or them asking me questions, and I don't even remember it. I don't know. I mean, but at some point, I don't know how, you know, I was diagnosed with bipolar, and they put me on these antidepressants, and I had to take that at the behavioral center that I was at that time. And I remember I hated it. It's just so much stuff I just didn't understand. That's why I say when it comes to that actual diagnosis, I feel like they just slapped something on you because you were like a misfit, you know, and this is what she's into now. Okay, so she's cutting. Okay, she's doing this and that. So let's just give her this. It was more like that. Like when I took it, I hated being on it. I felt weird, you know. That's why like I'll probably never ever get on antidepressants again, because they don't do they make you feel like crap. I can actually think of a whole bunch of other drugs that I have taken recreationally in the wrong way that aided me with depression than antidepressants. I know that's ironic, but they really do suck. I was yawning all the time, just constant yawning. I had no control over just like different, I just hated that crap so much. But that's where the original diagnosis came from at that time. I was going through like all that stuff. I was possessed like really, really bad. It was crazy. It was disgusting. But so I think I've been watching a lot of videos lately, and there's, you know, it's thank God for YouTube. YouTube is like, there is nothing that's not on YouTube. Everything, YouTube is just like that big house where everything goes. It is the Walmart of freaking like the internet. Like it's everywhere. So there's so much information about different disorders and stuff on YouTube that you can watch and just learn about. And what did I start? Yes, I started with the ADD, because I think I talked about that last year on camera too, but I think I probably deleted the videos, and I think I was expressing to y'all like, oh, I deal with this and blah, blah, blah. So, lately, what really just made me want to start researching like what the heck I could possibly be dealing with is a recent episode I had with some sisters in Christ that I'm not in fellowship with anymore. And it was just, I was just paying attention to, like, it just brought me to an extreme with them. Like, I've always had like the same type of episodes with them because I had been in fellowship with them for some years, but it was like I was paying attention to like how I felt like this time. I was like, this was like it's kind of already old because it already happened and we already like reconciled. But I mean, it's just like I just felt kind of like maniacal. It wasn't like a normal like anger. It was just like I hated these girls. It was like a deep like guttural just I don't know. And I was just paying attention. Like I was like notice how one day I would just, you know, feel really peaceful about them, and then like the next day I would be like really angry and talking to Father about it, like, you know, just praying certain things. And it was like these highs and lows that was just like it was just strange. And when I would express myself to them through like, you know, emails or something, like sometimes it would just be so much rage. It was just like, I actually listened to myself on playback one of the other days when I wasn't feeling that way. And I was like, I don't even recognize this person. Like at the time I was feeling it, it made sense. Like I could, if somebody were to ask me like, okay, explain like why you felt this way, or, you know, why you said what you said, I would be able to with no problem. But it's like some days I would feel entirely different about the situation, and then I would listen to the playback like, oh my God, I sent them that. Like I sound really crazy, or it sounds like somebody that's like really disturbed. So, and this mess was just a bit messier. It was a bit bigger than like the other, you know, disagreements and stuff that we had. And I was just like thinking, and I was just like, you know, well, now we haven't been talking, like we used to talk like every single day, but now that we haven't been talking every single day, I guess it just kind of gave me some room to just like really self-reflect, and just like that was an intense episode. Like, you know, and I'm like, I may need some kind of like I don't know. It was just very interesting. Like, I'm like, I know what I did with as far as the fragments, the altars, and I already know that that's what it is, but I'm just like, well, yeah, something needs to be done about this, though. Like, this keeps happening. Like, everybody that you're in fellowship with, it happens with every single person. And it's like, you know, yeah, somebody can get a spiritual understanding of, like, what you deal with, but every believer that the Father is going to bless you with for a friendship, they may not understand it to that degree. It can still negatively affect them. So I just kind of got to a place where, like, I'm just kind of ready to just take some accountability for it. Like, not a blaming thing. Like, I mean, because if you're dealing with something like that and you truly need deliverance and you just don't have it yet, I don't think the Father is blaming you. It's just more so I think he wants I think he wants you to understand, like, you know, the condition that you're in, why you feel what you feel, what the heck is going on inside of you, because it's not always spirits. They can amplify things if they're there, but it's not just a spirit, okay? You know, a spirit can be in the house, but the house is still the issue. You know, like the house is still going to be there even once you kick the spirit out, the stronghold, so to speak. So I was like, this is a cycle and a pattern with everybody that I fellowship with. And I'm sure, like, if you were to ask anybody who's been in fellowship with me, they can tell you, like, yes, I got that from her too. Yes, that happened. Yes, she did this to me. Like, you know, and it's always like this cycle of, like, you know, feeling really regretful and feeling really embarrassed and like genuine repentance and having to go back and apologize. And then it just repeats like with something else. But it would always be like genuine offenses. It wasn't something I would just do to be malicious. I'm not a malicious person. It was never to be ugly, but it's a cycle. Like, it's still there. So I'm just like, okay. I just, that's a good thing. That's good that, you know, I'm finally at the point where it's like, you know, it's time to do some soul searching, like some self-examination. Like, there could be some more stuff going on, like not so much that I don't know what it's due to spiritually. I know very well what it's due to spiritually and what the roots and stuff is, but there was never like any treatment or any like really real remedy to it. And it's kind of like it's one thing to understand what a sister is dealing with and to, you know, show grace and show love, and it's another thing to, but it's not being treated though. Like, you're going to keep doing this. Whether you stay in fellowship with these people or you get new relationships, the issue is still here and it's not being dealt with. And I just had some time to just like really self-reflect and just think about that crap, like just the different emotion. It wasn't even emotion. That's the crazy thing about it. It wasn't different emotions. It's not, I feel like emotions are like when I think of mood swings, I think about emotions. I don't deal with mood swings. Like I do, but mine is like literal shifting of like, it's a soulish thing. It's really weird. It's really weird and just split up. And the interesting thing is, one thing that would always stand out to me, or that did at this time anyway, is that some people with personality disorders, they take things to the extreme. And I'm one of those people. Like if you're offended by something, everybody is going to hear it, like they're going to feel your wrath. But the thing is, like, you genuinely are convinced of what you believe. Like, it's not like, oh, they're just doing this to be mean, or they're just doing this to be ugly. Like, no, like, it's a genuine belief system. And that's something like I was thinking about, like, you know, everybody around you may be more mild-tempered or more normal, but you're the only one that's always like on 10, or it can go from like 0 to 100 like real quick. And as far as like the self-perception and how you're perceiving things, and to be honest, I would like to be an advocate for people who kind of deal with that, because I can actually express to y'all like what we think when we do stuff like that. I feel like for the people who's on the other end that's receiving it, it just looks like, oh, they're being abusive, they're being narcissistic, they're being a mean sister, and it's like, no, it's not that. When that stuff happens, like, we actually believe, like, you know, what the heck is. And it could be deception, it could be some type of distortion in the mind of like how you're perceiving what's going on, or it could just be that that is the case, but you take it to like a whole nother level, like, you know. And that was just kind of something like I had to come to terms with, like, that could be the case for you. Like, you just, that could be that, you know. They talk about that, but like personality disorders and stuff, like they're really extreme, dramatic people with something that probably isn't that serious, but it is to them, you know. So now bipolar, I've had that thrown at me. Like, I've had it thrown at me in the comment section on different video. Well, not really thrown. I think I had a sister or somebody that was telling me like you could be bipolar. And I was insulted by it when I saw it, because I guess the way it was brought to me, like, it was just kind of like, I didn't like the fact that somebody else was trying to diagnose me when they don't really understand what I feel and what I go through. Because I think most people's understanding of bipolar is just mood swings. And I'm like, don't call me that just because you saw me. Like, I don't even know what it is fully. So, but I haven't watched any bipolar videos just yet. I think I watched one a couple nights ago, because my mind wasn't on that one. My mind was on the ADD, because I was like, I definitely have that crap. I can't focus for crap. Like, I already explained it to y'all in the past few videos. It's just that, like, I never knew that was a disorder that I had, though. I thought that was just, I don't know what the heck I thought. I've been dealing with that for years. This has been like a decade, like a very long time. And it's kind of like sad to know that I've been dealing with this stuff for that long, and I never tried to find out, like, I think it was because I just really wanted to stay on the spiritual and religious side of things, and I didn't want to get into like the whole, you know, psychiatric or psychological field, the more carnal atmosphere. Like, you know, sometimes Christians, like, we just try to stay away from that, because we know that the root of it is always spiritual. And it is, but it's just kind of crazy to think how, like, all this time I've been making all these videos about, you know, spirits this and Jezebel this, and it's all true. Like, it all came from the Lord, and he taught me those things. Like, it's good that you have a spiritual understanding of what the root is and how it manifests, and you can teach the church. Like, yeah, the Father definitely wants us to take care of it spiritually rather than go to some alternative path like psychology or something like that. But I never had any remedy for it, though. Like, he would teach me and he would show me. So it's like, basically, he gave me an understanding of what I was dealing with, and I could share it with the body of Christ just in case they didn't know. So that's good. But I feel like, had I known years ago, especially like the time that y'all have been following me, like 2016, I remember, it was some videos that I was making around that time. I was just like depressed, and just like, it was just darkness. It was just so much depression. But on my channel, it's been a cycle, and I think that's so interesting, because I feel like y'all are already my witnesses to what personality disorders I may have, because they actually say with these people, it's a cycle. Like, they're really happy for a season, but then it always goes back to like the vlogs about, oh my God, I don't want to be here, or oh my God, it's, you know, all this other stuff, which I feel that every day. But I was like, that's very interesting. You know, so I've already kind of had it on display, which is a good thing. But yeah, what the heck was I talking about? I think I was talking about the remedy for it. No, I never had one. The only remedy I knew for it was I started finding out about altars and fragments. I was like, there it is. It makes sense. That's what the heck all this is. That is what it is. But, you know, then I started going to deliverance ministers and nobody can help me, or nobody wants to help me. So that's led me to where I am now. I'm seeking psychiatric help and I'm going to get on medication for it now that I know what I actually deal with. But no, that's what I was saying. Had I known the actual diagnosis for what the heck I was feeling, and I guess it just really, I have to be careful with this because I don't feel like the Lord really wants me encouraging people to become dependent or reliant on diagnosis and medication and what doctors say. But I feel like it helps the fact that a lot of these things have already been studied and they've already been categorized, and you know what you're feeling probably is already, it's this, like, you know, like, yeah, there's a spiritual origin, it's good that you're a Christian, you know, all this stuff, but you ain't got no deliverance ministry available to you to help you with that right now. So if you just wanted to like have an understanding or just have like something to identify with or relate to what the heck could possibly just making sense of your world that's going on inside of you, it's good to look at those classification charts. So if I had known years ago that it was this personality disorder, this, like, it just would have just brought so much more relief to me, because I feel like for years my world has just been like, I have my relationship with God and I talk to him and I hear him and I teach and have a whole ministry, but I'm still like conflicted inside and dealing with identity crisis and kind of like scattered, and it's always just been this cycle of like compromise, and I don't want to say backsliding. I feel like backsliding is when you get to a certain point. I don't think I've ever backslid. You can be in the process of it, but it's just always been like that type of cycle of just like, and just, you know, wanting to talk to certain Christians and making vlogs because I wanted to be heard, and, you know, wanting somebody to kind of understand what I was going through, and no, they still don't. And I don't want to cry in this video, but no, it really is frustrating. Like, you know, you try to like get it out and explain like, oh my God, y'all, can you pray for me? Can you help me with this? And they're just still like, yeah, we don't know what that is. It's like, I could tell by the comment section, because like I would have a lot of saints like encouraging me, and like, you know, y'all would give, the people would come out of the woodworks and like, I didn't even know y'all was watching. Like I would get like 40 comments like encouraging and counseling, which I really do appreciate. If y'all are still here, I don't know who you are, like I get it, but it's a whole other world that y'all don't even know about. Like, I feel like unless somebody really it makes it worse, and the Lord has given you all the spiritual discernment about what this really is and the revelations about it, and you put it on camera, but it's like, now that you have that knowledge about what all this stuff is in depth, that doesn't mean that everybody watching you knows. They're learning from you. So it's like, and with the sister I was talking about, she has watched my videos and she disagrees. I'm like, there's nothing to disagree about when it came from the Lord. Like, I mean, you just don't believe it. So even the people that are watching the teachings, they have something to say about like, oh, that's not Jezebel. That's just this, or it's just you. And it's just like, no.